Love that. Hey there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Christal. I am here with our October feature, which is so amazing. And remember how every third Wednesday of the month, I have a feature of a woman in real estate on the move. And so I am so excited here to have Heather Matz with me today. Hey, Heather.
Hi there, how are ya?
I am so well. So before I let you share with the listeners a little bit more about yourself, I would love to read your lovely bio. So Heather is a life strategist for real estate professionals and realtor with the group real estate in Fort Collins, Colorado. In a nutshell, she helps other people get what they want. She is passionate about real estate and all things personal development. She uses her life coaching skills to not only help other real estate professionals create the results they are looking for, but also help her clients navigate the largest purchase and investment most people will make. She has built her entire career on cultivating meaningful relationships and truly believes she is a better wife, mother, daughter, sister, coach, and friend because of the lessons she has learned throughout her career in real estate. I love that. She believes all realtors wear their own unique superhero cape and that hers is helping others see the world through multiple perspectives with love and compassion in order to create win-win solutions and ultimately get what they want. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, one of the lines that stood out to me most in your bio that I love is that you believe that, you know, building meaningful and cultivating meaningful relationships and and believe that you're a better wife, mother, daughter, like coach. I love that so much.
Yeah, well, let's face it. I mean, this business creates, just such intimate relationships with our
Yes.
clients, and really does give us such an amazing opportunity to learn and grow. Everything, everybody we meet is different, and it gives us such amazing opportunities.
It really does. It really does. And something else that I love that you addressed in your bio was that this, for most people, it is the largest financial purchase that they make in their lives. And so it is kind of a big deal. And so, the work that you do with clients, it really does build that like connection because of the magnitude of the transaction in itself.
Yeah. Plus, so many people we work with are, not only are they making the biggest investment or trading or selling it, but, they're also a lot of times in transition. And so,
Yes.
they're in a very vulnerable position, and, how we show up for them is so incredibly important.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah. Because, and it's interesting. I love that you share that because many times when we think about real estate, I think we do think about, first time home buyers or, you know, whatever, purchasing a house in good times, but there are also challenging reasons why we sell a home or need to buy a new home, divorce, death, that type of thing. And that's a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are, walking intimate relationships with people in sometimes some really, really dark places in their lives. And, we learning how to manage our relationships with them. And then also understanding that some of what they're experiencing is just part of what their journey is, and not, holding loving space for them throughout it, but, not taking all of that on too. So it is such an interesting business, and I'm so grateful for everything it has, every opportunity it's given me in the last 11 years.
Yeah, I love that so much. So tell me, in the last 11 years, let's just kind of go there. Like, what did it look like when you first started out? And then tell us, like, what does your real estate business look like today? Like, are you on a team? Do you have a team? Like, just tell us, do you primarily list? Do you work with, tell us a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, when I think back to when I started in real estate, so I was licensed in 2010, so completely different market.
Yes.
Where, it was so fun working with buyers because they could select from just about anything out there. Right.
So true.
The last 2 years where, working with buyers has been so strategic. And so I've seen so many different things throughout the years. And, my journey into real estate was really interesting, especially, I was reviewing some of the things that we'd be talking about today, right? And it being all about relationships. And it's super interesting. When I started in real estate, my husband and I owned a design center, and we serviced primarily builders and commercial projects. And that business was so fun for so many years. And we each had kind of our own role within the business. And we rarely would even talk about business outside of work. Well, as the economy and the industry did what it did in 2008, in 2010, all of our pillow talk was it was stress around the business. And so it became really evident that in order for our relationship to really survive at that point, that we needed to not be working together in the business anymore. And so that's when I decided that the next logical thing for me to do was real estate. And so I entered the market, got licensed in 2010, really hit the ground running in 2011, when there was just not a lot of real estate being transacted. But it was such an amazing time to learn how to navigate the business in difficult times. And it turned out to be such a healthy thing for my husband and I to, each have our separate things. So that was my start in the business. And I think one of the coolest things about this business is how it allows you to ebb and flow in life, right? I left the business for a short amount of time, for about a year, put my license on referral to go do some nonprofit work that had my heart had been called to for years. And so the business gave me the opportunity to do that. And then when I came back, my youngest daughter was in middle school, and it allowed me the flexibility to be there for her while I still managed my business at the level I wanted to. And then as she transitioned into her senior year in high school, and I knew she was going to college, I hired a business coach, and I really put my foot on the gas and doubled my business, and I grew it. And then, over time, I have, there's times when I wanted to grow it, and there's times when I wanted to compress it so I could focus on my family or some self-development things. When I became certified in coaching, I paid a little more attention to coaching and did a little bit less business. And so it's always been there, exactly as it needs to be.
Yes, I love that you shared that on so many different levels, because many times what I also hear sometimes a stigma that realtors have is that when they first start off, they will, put like relationships on the back burner, right? To get their business off the ground. And I love the intentionality that you and your husband started off with. We love this business. The market's looking different. Okay, it's taking us to this place where our conversations, our home life is kind of meshing in with business life. So let's separate that. I love the intentionality behind that. And then what you said too about being a mom, because most of my listeners are moms. And so hearing that you allowed one of the benefits of this business to serve you well, right? And you did it for personal development, with your nonprofit, and then being there for your kids. I love that. I wanted to highlight those areas again, because I think that's really important what you shared.
Yeah, and I think it's important, that we do I set intentions every single year, and sometimes they're very, very business goal oriented, and other years they're around something else. When 2019 was by far my biggest year in the business, and I did a lot of transactions, and it was fun to stretch myself and see where I could go. But then when I got to 2020, I realized, what? I didn't allow for enough space for my friendships. And so I set a goal in 2020 that had nothing to do with business. I mean, I did keep some goals for business, but my main intention of the year was to, build deeper relationships within my circle of girlfriends, which I did, right? And so I think that's what's so neat about this business is that, the most important thing is waking up every day with the mindset of how do I serve others? And when I have that mindset, and it has nothing to do with real estate, but just wake up every day and be of service to others. The right amount of business always flows in for me to be able to, take care of all the other things in life I want to. And it really, truly, as long as you're not trying to push and force things, it always works out exactly how it should. So,
oh, that's so good. And I'm so happy you said that as a reminder, because I so believe in that. When we have the mindset that we take care of our clients, like we're automatically taken care of. It just happens.
Yeah. And sometimes, you can spend a lot of time and the way that I'm serving other people is, I just found out my friend had surgery today. Well, now I'm trying to figure out like, oh my gosh, how can I help support her family? Right. And it has nothing to do with real estate. Right.
Right.
And when you just focus on how to build deeper and more meaningful relationships with people and show up in service, the right amount of business always just shows up. And it's not because that's the intention. It's just
right.
So
no, that's a beautiful reminder. Tell me, when did you certify as a life coach? What year?
I certified in 2020.
Okay. And so tell me, did you notice that was the year that you had the intention to really focus on your relationships, but the time that you did spend in your business, what kind of shift did you notice once you really started to be maybe more aware than, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe more aware than ever about how our thoughts, and our mindset, right?
Right. Well, it's so interesting because I would say another thing that has been so amazing for me is that the company that I'm a partner in, the group real estate, we often joke that we're a personal development company that happens to do real estate. And so everything that I have learned in personal development, all the things that I've done, were all introduced to me through the company that I work with, the group. We do wild, wacky, crazy things. We do fire walks. Like I've participated in several fire walks. We do board breaking events where, we break boards with our hands. We are all about going beyond your limits. And so, I think that really my career in real estate and all of the things that my mind was opened up to through the culture at the group is what really led me into finally taking the step to get certified in coaching and really realizing that and here's the coolest part about being a life coach and is that all of the skills you learn there. I mean, I love supporting other realtors in their journey and helping them see what their brain's doing and all of the things around that. How much it has helped my clients, especially as we have entered, 2020, 2021, and the first half of 2022 were just markets where I feel like I used my coaching skills with my clients and other brokers. I think the relationship that we don't pay enough attention to as an industry as a whole is our relationship with the broker on the other side of the deal and how we can help hold space for them and really, be there to support them. And so, I don't even know if I answered your question, but
no, that's so good because that's an interesting point that you brought up, because that transaction, even if for those 30 days or 15 days or however long, it connects the two of you, right? So even thinking about that broker on the other side of that transaction. I love that. You have such a relationship focus. It's very obvious that's your approach and that it has served you well.
Oh, it has. I am so grateful. I mean, I have Don't get me wrong. I would say the last 6 months have probably been the most stressful I've experienced in the industry.
Okay.
Just from
Yeah.
the perspective of, I think that there's so much uncertainty for
Yes.
people that their
Yes.
behaviors are a lot more unpredictable than they have been
Mhm.
in the past. And so I think I've had to pull out every last bit of compassion and empathy
Mhm.
and love for others that I have been able to, that I could in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
But it's also been, from a volume standpoint, June was my biggest month ever.
Mhm.
2 days ago, I closed on my largest transaction ever.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
congratulations.
Thank you.
I love that.
You know, and it's awesome, right? I mean, but it's also, I have learned so much and I have stretched
Yeah.
myself, and it's just been, again, this business, everything happens for us, and it provides so much opportunity for growth.
It really does. What has this business like taught you unintentionally?
Ooh.
Right? Like what has been like an amazing byproduct of like that you had no intention that you would like learn that lesson or see things
Yeah.
a different, yeah, share with me.
Yeah, you know what? I think the biggest thing I've learned it as the most important. And this is a podcast about relationships, so but this is
Mhm.
just ironic, that's where I'm going. But I think the
Yeah.
thing I've learned the most is that the most important relationship that you can have in the whole world is the relationship you have with yourself.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so when my relationship with myself is healthy, right,
Yes.
then everything seems to flow better with my clients. When
Mhm.
I'm, in a mode where I'm trying to think I need to be perfect, or
Yeah.
that I've got something to prove for some reason, or, when I let my
Mhm.
ego really get there, like
Yeah.
that's when, things don't go well, right? And
Yeah.
so I think that's probably the biggest thing I've learned is just I got to be kind to myself, and
Yes.
really focusing on that first, and then
Mhm.
everything else seems to flow just fine.
Oh my gosh, I love that you went there because I totally see how that even helps business wise, personal side of things because when you have that like sense of compassion and grace like for yourself and that it's okay to take care of yourself, um, you know, not only does that like extend to others, but it really also helps, I really believe, us become an advocate of ourselves. So even if that's like in our home life, asking our spouse for extra support, that
Yeah,
type of thing, like,
right.
right, I could see that just coming out in so many different ways.
Right, right. And when you're
Hmm.
feeling, when you're authentic and you feel good about how you're serving, if
Yeah.
you need that extra help at home, or you need that extra
Hmm.
space, or, I mean, sometimes, right? Like my husband and I were joking yesterday with somebody,
Hmm.
but we were telling him how, there are days where we might have had plans to go hit the golf course, and he's standing at my
Hmm.
office door, and I'm like, babe, just go, right?
Right.
You just gotta go.
Do this one
Sorry,
without me.
just
Yeah.
gotta take care of this. And
Yeah.
and if I'm in a healthy place with myself, then
Hmm.
that feeling and the way I communicate that to him and the way he
Yeah.
receives it is so different than me being, oh my
Yes.
gosh, is he going to be mad at me? But I have to take care of this for my clients, I
Yeah.
mean, and so it really all starts with ourselves, and then,
Mhm.
from there. And by the way, I mess it up sometimes. In fact, I mess
Yeah.
it up a lot of the times, and it doesn't come across quite in that kind, loving way. But
Yeah, but
I
it's
do the best that
okay.
I can, and we all do, and we're all human. And this business does put a lot of demands that can be unexpected on our time.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely, and that is one thing too that, um, I think sometimes, most of the listeners obviously are familiar or, are passionate about real estate, so they understand that, but I do think for some looking on the outside in, you know, real estate looks like this easy industry where you drive your Tesla and you go, you know, sell a few houses, make a few $100,000 a month, you know, like, and that's just it, you know.
Yep, it's that easy. Yep. It's funny. I have had two good friends who have entered the business this year, or at least like in the last year and a half. And I've had conversations with both of them and one of their spouses in the last like 4 weeks. And I've asked them like, so, you know, is it what you thought it would be? And all three of them are like, no, not at all. And one of them's husband was like, oh my gosh, she's on the phone all the time. She's working so hard. She puts so much energy into something and nothing ever comes of it. And it's totally different than we thought it would be, you know. But you know, as you learn to manage all of that and you know, do it in a kind, loving way to yourself and others, it does get easier, and learning how to set the boundaries gets easier, and learning, you know, what has to be addressed today versus what can wait tomorrow. I mean, those are things that it takes time, right? To understand that. And then just right when we figure it all out, we get a huge market shift. So we get to refigure it out, which is so cool.
That is so true. I love that. So actually, speaking of boundaries, and I don't know that you shared any, but do you have any kind of like firm boundaries with clients, and do you mind sharing them?
Yeah, you know, I talk to people a lot. I don't ever want my clients to be afraid to reach out to me, because I do realize that, you know, sometimes, right, our brains tell us stories, right? And sometimes they can start telling us stories at 7:00 at night when we're talking to our spouse. And they can start, you know, they can start to spin out of control. And so I don't ever want my clients to feel like they can't reach out to me, but I am pretty upfront with them that, you know, I control my phone, right? And so there are times, you know, in the evenings where if I'm with my family or have something going on, where that phone may be off, right? You'll always hear from me, you know, within 24 hours, but usually quicker than that, right? And so I don't want my clients to feel like they can't reach out if they're feeling some sort of anxiety, or they just they don't understand. And so I am probably not as clear as some people, you know, where I hear some people say, you know, I won't answer the phone during these times. So I want them to feel comfortable knowing that I will be there for them, you know, if I can be. And so, but I do let them know I control that phone. And if there's, if you notice that I hit decline, it's because, you know, I need to be there for somebody else. And it's a priority at that moment. But I will listen to your message, or I look at your text, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Right. And so for me to feel good about how I serve, you know, I do like to probably be available more than some other brokers. But I'm really good at communicating with my folks. Like if they're looking for something, I had a client this spring who just needed a little bit more attention than some other clients. And there were times where I just couldn't give him what he wanted. And, you know, it might have been a Sunday morning, I was out on a walk, and, you know, I got a text and didn't, you know, respond to it. And then I got another text 2 hours later. And I maybe didn't want to call this client because I knew it would be a whole hour conversation, and I had family in town and we were hiking, right? Or and so, you know, in fairness, the response I gave him was, you know, I totally hear what you need to talk about. I've got family in town, and we're going to need to address that later this afternoon. And just, you know, and people do, they understand, they do. So,
yeah, no, that's good. I appreciate you sharing that. And it is interesting too, to hear like different styles, because you're so right. Some, you know, brokers may have like a day of the week, like sometimes I'll hear Sunday where they're just like, you know, kind of like what you're saying, you may call or text and I'll get back to you that Monday morning, that type of thing, you know, but having some type of boundary where you're just not being reminded of, I think what you so beautifully said, like, I control this device.
Exactly. I want you to feel comfortable reaching out to me. Just know, you know, you can reach out when you need to reach out. you know, and I will always somehow communicate. I don't ever, you know, just ignore people. And I do think it's probably an area of the business that I have the most conversations with myself and my own coaches, right? Because, you know, I think every good coach needs a coach, right? And so I do have a lot of conversations around my coaches about, you know, when I start to maybe feel overwhelmed or a little bit of anxiety that I'm letting too much business in, how to set better boundaries. And so I think that's something that is always a work in progress for me. And probably one of the biggest things that the industry, you know, as a whole, because it is a 24/7 business and the market, you know, is moving so quickly right now. I think as we continue to see a little bit of a shift, hopefully towards a more balanced market, that we're all able to set a little bit better boundaries. But when things, you know, right now, if you compare the real estate market to a river, right, it's like it's like rapids rushing. Right? And so you do have to have a little bit more, I think, flexibility in order to not have things, you know, rush by your buyers than we did in some other previous markets. So I do think that, you know, that's part of the ever learning and challenging parts of this business, is that it always changes. So
it does. Yeah, that's so true. And I think being reminded of what you said so like beautifully earlier, having that relationship with yourself and having like a healthy relationship with yourself is one of the best ways to have a sustainable business in this industry. Yes.
Absolutely. And I know I was drinking water through a fire hose. I kept saying it all spring. Which is something, it's very typical for my business. I usually play a lot in July and August, and then I really focus on my business the other parts of the year. And so, you know, I literally next week, as of Wednesday, I'm not going anywhere, but I'm going to shut my business down for 10 days. And I have somebody who's going to cover for me. And, you know, I'm not going to be on vacation, but I recognize that it's a rejuvenation time, and I need to refill so then I can serve better. And so, you know, I think it's important to listen to yourself and recognize those things. And so,
no, I think that's such a lovely reminder to end our conversation on, is like being intentional again, kind of like how we were saying earlier, with how you and your husband made that decision in the beginning. Again, being intentional to take some time off and just to focus. And like you said, it doesn't have to look a certain way. Like taking time off can literally be you at your house or you walking at a park. Like you don't have to, you know, be physically away to allow yourself that space. And so,
and I definitely have non-negotiables. You know, my morning time, my phone is on do not disturb, and you know, I meditate, I journal, you know, I walk in the morning. There is some definite sacred times that that phone is just, I don't know what's coming into me, right? And then, you know, then 8 a.m. rolls around and do not disturb comes off, and we'll just see what we're going to deal with today.
Hit the ground running. I love that. Well, Heather, I would love for you to share with the listeners how they can connect with you if they like to learn more or just follow what you're doing.
Absolutely. So you can, I've got 2 websites. One is my real estate website, which is just heathermatz.com. And then I have a blog for my coaching.
Cool.
I would say that I have a website for my coaching business in process. It will be exciting, but for now you can at least see my blog, which is very out of date because I have been very focused on working with my real estate clients, but you can find that at authenticrealtor.com.
Oh, perfect. And that's so easy to remember. Okay. Yeah. And by the time that this is recorded, it may look different.
Oh, I hope so. I think it is. God bless my web developer who I have pushed off like give me one more month. So I think we're right now starting September 1st, and it's a 7-week process. So truly, that all may look different, and wherever you go, I promise that it'll direct you to the right place. So
that's most important. Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, Heather, thank you so much for this
Thank
time.
you.
And yeah, and everyone, thank you so much for listening in. Have a wonderful day.